So you want to own a food truck. No property taxes, no 20-year lease, no landlord telling you where to put the fryer. Just an engine, a griddle, and the open road, chasing lunch crowds from one corner of the city to the next. It looks like the cheat code version of the restaurant business. Same food, same customers, a fraction of the overhead. That dream has pulled in a lot of people. There are now more than 92,000 food truck businesses operating across the United States, and an industry that has expanded faster than almost any other corner of food service over the past 5 years. But before you sell a single taco, the numbers tell a very different story. A used truck alone can cost $50,000. A custom-built one, outfitted with a full commercial kitchen on wheels, can climb past $200,000 before you've bought a single onion. And in most cities, you're not even legally allowed to cook inside that truck without first renting a second kitchen your customers will never see. Close to 40% of food trucks don't survive past their third year. Not because the food was bad, because most new owners never accounted for a version of this business that has almost nothing to do with cooking. So where does all that money actually go? Why do some trucks scale into 7-figure brands while others fold in a single summer? And why does a parking spot sometimes matter more than the menu? That's the mystery worth chasing. On paper, a food truck looks like the easiest business in America to start. Low rent, low risk, high reward. Owners like Choi turned a single truck into a national phenomenon. And every year, a fresh wave of home cooks looks at that success and thinks, why not me? But the food truck business isn't really a restaurant business. It's a logistics business that happens to sell food. And almost nobody selling the dream tells you that part first. Keep that idea in mind, because by the end, it will explain almost everything about who succeeds and who quietly disappears. Start with the truck itself, because that's where every owner's illusions meet their first invoice. A stripped-down used truck, mechanically sound but cosmetically rough, can be found for around $50,000. But most operators end up spending far more than that once ventilation hoods, refrigeration units, propane systems, generators, and a fire suppression system are added. All told, a fully outfitted truck typically lands somewhere between $100,000 and $250,000 before a single sale. Here's what almost nobody expects going in. Buying the truck doesn't give you a legal place to cook in it. In most American cities, health departments require food trucks to be tied to a licensed commissary kitchen, a commercial facility where trucks restock water, dump wastewater, refrigerate inventory, and often handle the heaviest prep work before a shift even starts. Skipping this step isn't optional. Operating without one can mean fines, a revoked permit, or a truck that's shut down before it ever opens. A basic shared commissary slot runs somewhere between $250 and $1,000 a month. A full-service commissary with dedicated storage and overnight parking can run up to $3,000. That's a rent payment for a kitchen your customers will never step inside, stacked on top of licensing fees that in some cities like Boston can exceed $17,000 a year once every food, fire, and health permit is added up. And that's before the truck has moved an inch. This is where the cheap restaurant fantasy quietly falls apart. A brick-and-mortar restaurant pays for one location. A food truck pays for two. The truck itself and the invisible kitchen behind it that makes the truck legal to operate at all. But permits and commissary rent are still just the entry fee. The real economics of a food truck are decided somewhere else entirely, on the pavement at 11:45 a.m. in the fight over where the truck is actually allowed to park. Because a food truck doesn't own real estate, it rents attention one parking spot at a time. A prime downtown lunch corner or a busy festival slot can cost anywhere from a few hundred to a couple $1,000s. And many event organizers also take a straight cut of the day's sales, often somewhere between 10 and 30%. Show up to a dead corner instead of a packed one, and the same menu, cooked by the same hands, can swing between a profitable day and a break-even one. That single detail, location, not flavor, is the quiet variable that decides who survives. And it explains something that confuses almost everyone watching from the outside: how a truck with mediocre food can outlast one with genuinely great cooking. The mediocre truck simply won the parking spot. There's a second problem hiding underneath the parking question, and it's one most first-time owners never see coming. The truck itself is a vehicle, and vehicles break. A blown transmission, a dead generator, or a failed health inspection doesn't just cost money to fix, it takes the entire business offline.
A restaurant with a broken oven can still open its doors and serve half a menu. A food truck with a broken generator can't sell anything at all. Every mechanical failure is a full day, sometimes a full week of zero revenue, while commissary rent, insurance, and loan payments keep running regardless. That single vulnerability is why insurance for a food truck isn't one policy, it's several stacked on top of each other. Commercial auto coverage for the vehicle, general liability in case a customer gets sick or hurt, often workers' compensation once staff are hired. Combined, that can run several $1,000s a year, quietly eating into a profit margin that averages only around 6 to 10% industry-wide, thinner than most people assume for a business that looks this glamorous on Instagram. And that word, Instagram, points to the next layer almost nobody accounts for going in. A food truck without a following is often invisible. There's no street front window, no street signage, no walk-in traffic. The truck's entire customer base has to be told in advance exactly where to find it that day, which means the business isn't just cooking and driving, it's also quietly becoming a full-time content operation. Daily posts, location updates, photos that make a taco look worth crossing town for. Skip that part of the job and even a truck parked in a great spot with great food can sit there half empty. There's also the problem of the kitchen itself, because a food truck's biggest operational disadvantage isn't the menu, it's the square footage. The average cooking space inside a truck is smaller than a walk-in closet, yet it still has to produce fast, consistent food during a 15-minute lunch rush without a wasted step. That constraint changes who can even work there. Most trucks run lean, employing fewer than 2 full-time staff on average, simply because there isn't room for more hands. But lean staffing carries its own cost: burnout, turnover, and an owner who often ends up working the window, the grill, and the books all in the same 12-hour day. Lose one experienced cook mid-season, and an owner can lose weeks of consistency at exactly the moment repeat customers expect the same plate every time. So the true cost of owning a food truck was never just the truck. It's the kitchen you rarely see, the parking spot you have to fight for, the vehicle that can go down without warning, and the phone in your pocket that never stops working. Layer all of that together, and the average food truck now needs somewhere between $150,000 and $250,000 a year just to keep running, before the owner has paid themselves a single dollar. Which raises the obvious question: if the costs are this relentless, why do some food trucks turn into genuine empires? Look at Choi's Kogi barbecue, the Los Angeles truck widely credited with sparking the modern gourmet food truck movement. Kogi didn't just sell Korean Mexican tacos, it used social media in the earliest days of Twitter to broadcast its location in real time, turning a mobile kitchen into a moving event that customers would chase across the city. That single insight, treating the truck as a brand people followed rather than a menu people happened to walk past, is what separated Kogi from thousands of trucks selling equally good food to nobody in particular. Or look at the Halal guys, which built its following around consistency instead of novelty, the same reliable cart-based meal in the same reliable spot night after night, until repeat customers turned into a cult following large enough to expand into franchised restaurants worldwide. Different strategy, same underlying lesson. The trucks that scale are the ones that stop depending on any single location or single day of sales, and start building something that survives even when the truck itself is in the shop. Not every story ends like Kogi's. Plenty of well-reviewed trucks with loyal early followings have folded within 18 months, and the pattern tends to look the same every time. A truck launches strong on a wave of opening week buzz, books a handful of profitable festival weekends, and assumes that momentum will simply continue. Then a slow winter arrives, a generator fails during peak season, or a city quietly relocates its food truck zone 3 blocks away, and revenue drops just enough that commissary rent, insurance, and loan payments stop being background numbers and start becoming the whole problem. Without a cash reserve built during the good months, there's no way to absorb a few bad ones. The lesson repeats across the industry. A great weekend was never the real test. Surviving the slow month right after it was. That's the real dividing line in this industry. The owners who treat the truck as the entire business tend to plateau or vanish the moment one truck breaks down or one parking spot dries up. The owners who treat the truck as the delivery mechanism for a brand, one that can add catering contracts, festival bookings, a second truck, or eventually a permanent kitchen, are the ones who turn a 6-figure grind into a genuine company. A hospital gets expensive because every minute inside it has a cost attached to it. A food truck gets expensive because every single day it isn't parked in the right place, at the right time, in front of the right customers, is a day the fixed costs win, instead of the owner. The next time a food truck rolls past you at lunch, with a line already forming and music playing from a speaker clipped to the window, remember what's actually holding that scene together. A kitchen you'll never see, paying rent every month whether the truck sells anything or not. A parking permit that was fought for like real estate. A generator that could fail before the next order comes in. And a phone somewhere inside that truck doing as much work to keep the business alive as the grill itself. A food truck was never really a cheaper restaurant. It's a logistics company wearing a restaurant's face, and the owners who understand that are the ones still parked on that corner 5 years from now. If you want to see the hidden economics behind another business next, a cruise ship, a football club, or something else entirely, drop it in the comments. And if this pulled back a curtain you didn't expect, subscribe, because there's a lot more hiding in plain sight.